Hello and welcome to your 24th tutorial on how to create an FPS game. So now you'll see what I have here is a model and two images, and that's because what we're going to be dealing with today is particle effects. And I also brought a model, like a gun model that I got online, to replace this ugly cube that we have. And it just so happens I found a model of the MA5C, which is a fictional gun from Halo. It's the regular assault rifle from the game Halo, which, if you don't know, is a very famous first-person shooter by Microsoft Games. And so I brought that in, and first of all, I want to get into putting gun models on our guns. So yeah, so after you made your gun and you put it into a prefab or not, it doesn't matter. You can do either two things. You can remember everything you did here. Delete this object and drag this after you import it. Drag this, put it inside player, and replace this gun model with the object. Just rotate it normally and reset its position. Yada yada. Or you could just place it inside the gun cube that you already have, which is what I'm going to do. Uncheck mesh render here. Well, just until you're done positioning it, and then put it inside, and then that will just automatically, it will just appear as if you only have this one because you uncheck mesh render. Now let me just increase the scale here. Right, 5 by 5 by 5. I think that's about, whoa. That is not good. Alright, so let me pause the video for 1 sec. Alright, done with that. Sorry for that little error. Alright, so now you just gotta make sure you position it right on the cube, right? So it'll look perfect in your game. Just, in every possible aspect, perfectly on there, as much as you can. Or you can do the thing that I said before. And then just go to gun cube, uncheck mesh render, and seal it off, seal the deal, and voila, you got that. You can aim with it. That's gonna be a bit too much recoil, so you can lower it down. I'm just gonna leave it here because it doesn't matter, just a tutorial. Got a barrel that you can shoot, and yeah. Alright, you can even position it a bit further if you want to stylize it differently, but that doesn't matter right now. Now, the second thing I want to get into is our sparks. See our sparks? They're looking kind of ugly, Look at them. They're butt ugly. What can I say? What we want to do to make them beautiful is put a texture on them that will look like actual sparks. So I got a texture for sparks, and I import it right now. It's called Fire 4. Got it from a Unity project that comes with Unity. I'll put it out for download. And all you do is simply create a material for it. This is going to be a special material, but hold on. Let's call it sparks. Right? Now we want to make its shader particles additive. Now what this does is it takes black space and turns it into transparent space. So you'll see. This is what we get down here. And if we put it on our particle system, this material, bam, we get much more nicer looking sparks. I mean, look at that. Hold on. Why is it not emitting? Alright, finally you'll see it in our game. But, just to get what I mean. And after we've done that, put everything in the correct folder because we are organizing these tutorial series. Put it back in. And now, one last thing that I want to do in this very short tutorial is work on muzzle flash. Because it's not really realistic that the gun just shoots and there's no fire, coming out of the. Well, that's a bit too down. Well, never mind. Yeah. So we want to work on muzzle flash. So first, let me position my gun correctly. Let me see if that works. Alright. I'm just gonna stop here because this is getting, taking up too much time. Alright. So what we do. There are two ways to do this. One is to create a particle system and put it at the muzzle. Well, that's what we're gonna do always, but there's two ways to create the particle system. You can make it out of like shapes and make it stretched particles and that are going forward, or you can do the second way with a texture. And that way is you import a texture. You get a texture online. I'll also put this for download. And it looks like this. By the way, all particle textures will have black space for transparency. It will look like this. It will look like the front of somebody shooting you. So if somebody were firing a gun at you, this would what the gun would look like when it's firing. I mean the muzzle flash. So we need to get the front view of the muzzle flash in a texture. After you got that, you create another texture, another material, I'm sorry, and call it muzzle flash. After that, you just put it right on there and change it to particles, maybe soft, I think. Yeah, that looks pretty nice. And then what we want to do is create a particle system. Well, actually no. I'm not going to create a particle system, but you should if you have the old Unity, because the new Unity creates the new version of the particle system, and I don't want that. I want the old version because the new version doesn't have the functions I need, like emit or something, and I don't know how to really interface with it in the code. So I'm just gonna put that. Make sure you position it right. That shouldn't have done that. Make sure you position it right at the center of the barrel, tip top, and then add components to it. Legacy. You want 3 components. You want the particle emitter, which throws the objects. You want the particle animator, and you want to render them last. Yeah, and this is what you get first. So let me just change these parameters so it will fit what we need. So first of all, I want to make it 1 by 1. Don't get scared. I'm going to narrow the emission down to 1. So we want to only render one texture at a time, and we don't want to do it that slow. Oh, also we want to change the ellipsoid to 0. So it will render from the very center of the barrel. Alright. And last, we want to change the speed. So 0.1, 0.1. Still not fast enough? Simply check one shot. That's great. Alright, you might not think that's great yet, but once we put the muzzle flash on there, there we go. That's what we're looking for. If it's a bit too transparent for you, you can change that from additive soft to additive. But yeah, that's basically how it's gonna look. Whoa. So you catch it at different times, it's different transparencies, and I think it's really dynamic. But one last thing I want to do is I want to make this a lot bigger. So let me just pause the video to finish that. Alright, there we go. By the way, if it's not growing for you, change the max particle size to 10. Then put size grow on it. You know, however much you want. Or instead of size grow, you can just make the size absolute, which it won't grow like this. You can just make it 5 by 5. Yeah, but that's a bit too big. I'm going to change it back to 1 by 1. And make the size grow 3. Yeah, and make this 7. Alright, now once you've done that, renamed it to muzzle flash. Then stylizing it, rename it to muzzle flash. Put inside of the gun, uncheck the emit. And now we need to go and type a few, like 2 lines in our script. So, you know, just to tell the gun to render the particles whenever we are firing. So yeah, wait for this new damn editor to load. Simply, all I want to do is reference, just like we did for the sparks. Reference it by typing var muzzle flash of type game object. Keep changes, don't bug me. And then right here, we want to do muzzle flash dot particle emitter dot emit. Now I want you to see what that does. First of all, close everything up. There's another thing I want to do. I want to put our entire scene objects in a game object, in a separate game object, so it won't bother us. What the hell? I thought I put it inside that. Oh well, useless game object. Oh wait. My bad, that was a game object. I was going to put everything inside. Right, so put everything inside of a game object. So it will be much... What the fuck? So it will be much more comfortable to work with. Let me just finish doing that. Right now if you close it and put even ramp and sandbags inside, you see it's much more comfortable to work with. So yeah. Now whoa. Right, the last step, I forgot to do this. The last step is to reference it. So actually drag and drop it onto the variable. And bam. You got awesome muzzle flashes. And your gun is shooting like crazy and there's explosions everywhere and your game is awesome. So yeah, that concludes our tutorial for particle effects, since all the other explosions and stuff come with Unity. So bye bye and see you next time.